Hello and welcome to the first instalment of the Jewel of Summer Cal. Today we're going to look at the central square or diamond. It tends to look like a diamond in the finished item, so I'm going to call it the diamond. And we also have a half diamond which makes the edge pieces up. For this you're going to need your big value 50-gram DK yarn in the colours that go with the particular piece you're making. Then a 4.5mm hook, which is a US 7. And I always keep to hand scissors, needles, and generally a couple of the little split ring stitch markers because I find that they're the most useful. So we'll get all our materials together and we'll sit down and do you a demo of how to make it. So see you again in a moment. Okay, so this is what we are going to be making today. So we start off with the petrol yarn and you begin with a magic loop. So pinch it between your finger and your thumb, wrap it round your first two fingers and then round again. Bring that bit through. It's a little bit like starting a slip knot, but instead of pulling at this point, you hold on to it and pinch it and then do one chain, and that secures it so that it's not going to ping open on you now. So get your hand and your tension set up on your yarn comfortably, and then for this first bit, which is really quick, we're just going to do 4 double crochets into the magic ring. So that's bring your yarn through, wrap again and through 2. Bring your yarn through, wrap again, through 2. This is the UK double crochet. Bring it through 2, and again, bring it through 2. Then you tighten up to here and grab your scissors, cut that off, pull it through, and you've made this tiny little thing which just looks like that. Right, so the next bit is to sew these ends in, which is always fiddly when it's such a tiny amount, and you do feel like you're wasting rather a lot when you do a magic ring, but it's better to have a little bit more to play with. So let's just thread this through carefully. Near as you can. And take the tail from the other end and do the same thing. Okay. Snip the ends off. You've got this tiny little piece which now we're going to do row 2, and in order to do that you need to get the hook head, oops, that's it, under the first one, and this section on this particular colourway is done in wine, so I'm going to pull that through. I like to do a single loop with the tail, that helps to secure it, and then you're completing a chain of 3, so I'm going to do 2 more chains there. And then we're going to do 1 treble into that same stitch, just holding the tail out of the way. These first bits are always the most fiddly because you've such a small amount to work with. Then I'm going to do 2 trebles into each subsequent stitch, so that's another 3 sets. So what we're actually doing is creating half of the central diamond. Yeah, and we'll tuck in any little loose ends later. But now if you include the chain of 3 that you've got at the beginning, you've got 8 stitches because you've got 2 trebles then in each section, and that's 8 in total, including that set of 3. And that's row 2 complete. Okay. Okay, so I'm now just going to sew the ends in. Again, I'm running them just in the middle. You can't see it at the back or the front. Oops. And then I like to run it through twice. Snip that little bit off as well. And then we are on to row 3, and row 3 is being done in the mustard. Plenty of yarn out for this one. So again, you're joining into the first treble, which actually is the chain of 3. So the chain of 3 at the beginning counts as a treble. So join into there and do a single chain. Again, I like to do that single chain with the tail, and there we go. Now that doesn't count as a stitch here or throughout. There'll always be a little joining chain at the beginning. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, UK double crochet, and a double treble, which is going to look a little bit odd to start with, but it does work as you go further through. So that's wrapping twice into the hole, again the same one, bring your yarn back through, wrap and through 2, wrap through 2, wrap and through 2. And because you're trying to make just a little bit of a sort of bobbled puckered effect here, we're going to go into the next stitch and do another double crochet. And what you want is that one to pop through to the front. Wrap twice into the same hole, pull it back through, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, and again, oops, that one quite cleanly, wrap and through 2. And we're going to do that all the way along. So in each stitch you're doing a double crochet, and then you're working a UK double treble. So that's, you've got 4 pieces on your hook there, pieces of thread, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, and we're doing this 8 times in total. So, in fact, no, we're doing it 7 times in total, I think, for this one. Just double check my... yeah, we're only actually doing 7. There is a reason for that. I know it's a bit unusual. Most of the things are done in even numbers. But I need 7. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Then one last one. 7, and then we're ending with a double crochet in the last stitch. So here we are. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a double crochet in the last stitch. So that looks a little bit like a rainbow to start with. Okay, and that's row 3. Okay, so we're at this point now. I've just sewn the ends in, and we're now going to join in for row 4, which this time we're using the grey. We're going in on the first double crochet that was there, joining the yarn just as before, so bring it through, do an individual chain, that just nicely secures your yarn at the end. Then we are going to do a double crochet into that same hole, so same stitch. That's that one. Then 2 chain, miss the double treble and do a double crochet into the double crochet of the row below. So we're going into the dip in effect. Then another 2 chain into the double crochet of the previous round, and we're going to do this all the way to the end, and this is forming a foundation to work the next more pretty row into. So this is really just a foundation row, and we end with a double crochet there. So again, we've got 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which just loops round each one of these raised stitches here. Okay, then fasten off as before. Okay, so we've now got this little piece, and we're going to now add in the red and create this bobbled effect here. So you start off in the usual way, so hook into the first stitch, which is always a bit fiddly, pull it through and then do a single chain to anchor it. Then we're going to do another 2 chains there. Okay, the next bit we're going to use one of those sets of 2 chains that you've got at the back, and we're going to do a treble, just a standard UK treble. 3 chains and another UK treble. Now in the next 2 chain loop we're going to do a popcorn stitch, and for this one it's a 5 treble popcorn stitch. So you start off by working your 5 trebles into the space. Right. Pull that a little bit loose there so you don't lose it. Now to do a popcorn stitch, you put your hook into the top of the first treble grab your thread. Now there's two options here, and the one we're going to use is you do one chain but you pull it through, and that just gives a little bit more of a loop there. Some people just pull the chain from this side straight through. The option is yours. That's the one we've chosen here, so I'll work that again for you. So we've got a treble, 3 chains, another treble, and then a 5 treble popcorn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give yourself a bit of thread, pop it through the first one, do a chain and through. Okay, so we're back onto a treble, 3 chains and a treble, and this is the final popcorn for this round. So 5 trebles, 4, 5, take the hook out, pop it into the first treble at the top, get your stitch, tighten it back up again, do a chain, but then pull that straight through. Then in the very last 2 chain on the grey row, you do your treble, 3 chains, 1 treble, and then a final treble into your last stitch. And there we've got it. Okay. Okay, so we've now got this, and we are going to start row 6. This time we are using the wine colour, and as before you're going to join into the very first stitch, which was the chain 3 at the beginning of the previous row. Bring that through, do yourself 1 chain to nicely tighten that in, and set your hand up, and then a double crochet into your first stitch. We're now going to work a shell, which they are listed in the special instructions, so do take time to check that. A shell in this case is 3 trebles, 1 chain, 3 trebles into the 3 chain space of the row below. So I've got 3 trebles, 2, 3, 1 chain, and another 3 trebles. So that's made a nice curve there. Then we're doing a double crochet into the little hole at the top there. So it's in the middle of the bobble stitch there. And then we're going to do another shell. 2. So I've got my 3 trebles, 1 chain, another 3 trebles, and a double crochet into there. I'm going through these a little bit more quickly because a lot of these stitches you have already done by doing the central diamond, and took a little bit more time over them there. But as you should have already had a practice at these, it's really more about making sure that you do the rows correctly, and if you need to, just pause things and re-watch them. That is the beauty of YouTube. So I'm on the final shell. This is my chain, another 3 trebles, and a final double crochet into the last stitch. Okay. Okay, so we're on to row 7. We're going to join the yarn in the normal way, and this time we're going to chain 3. So that's 1 done with the tail, and then another 2, and then we're going to work 1 treble into the first of the trebles in that set of 3 there. Then skip the next 2 trebles, chain 3, and then work 3 double crochet into the 1 chain space that comes in the shell of the row below. Then we do another chain of 3 and a treble 3 together. So a treble, you wrap, go into the stitch, and we're going into the last stitch of that set of 3, round and through 2 on that one, wrap into the double crochet, bring it through 2, wrap again into the first treble of the next set, and I've done a wrap and through 2 there, and then through all 4 stitches. So we will do another one of those in a minute so that you can see again. So I've done a chain of 3, 3 double crochet, another chain of 3, treble 3 together, so we're using the last stitch of that set of 3 as your first one. Then we wrap again, go into the double crochet, bring that through, wrap again and go into the first stitch of the next set of 3, and wrap them through 2, and then wrap and through all 3, chain 3, 3 double crochet, chain of 3, treble 3 together using those middle 3 stitches again, through all 4 stitches on your needle, chain 3, 3 UK double crochets, 3 chain, and then 2 trebles. One of them worked into the final stitch of the previous shell, and the final one worked into the final treble on the previous row. And that's it. That is row 7 complete. Okay, so we're going to start row 8 and use the jade. So you start off by attaching the yarn in the usual way and doing a 1 chain just to keep it nice and secure. We're then going to do a double crochet into that same stitch. Then you work 3 UK double crochet into this chain space here. So you've got your 3 chain space and you work 3 doubles into it. Then 3 doubles, 1 into each of the doubles on the row below. then another 3 double crochet in there, and then this is where it gets a bit more interesting because we're doing a front post treble. So start your treble in your normal way and then go round the middle of the treble 3 together on the previous row. Bring it through, round and through 2, round and through 2. So we'll just do all that again. We've got 3 double crochet into the 3 chain space, 3 double crochet into the 3 double crochet of the row before, then another 3 double crochet there, and then a front post treble. So wrap, go in and behind your treble on the row below, round and through 2, round and through 2, and you can see how it does a lovely twist and a wrap on that. Another 3 double crochet, another 3 into the double crochet on the previous round, another 3 double crochet, all nice threes, your final front post treble, three double crochet again, 3 double crochet into your last, oops, and then 3 final double crochet there, and then 1 last double crochet into your last stitch. And you can see how we've sort of wrapped that top row there. Okay. Okay, we're back now with row 9. This one definitely takes a bit more concentration than a lot of the others. So we start in the normal way, pull the yarn through in that first stitch. Oh, I'm struggling, don't know why. There we go. Right, this time we're going to do 4 chains in total. So I've just done 1 there. I'm going to do another 3. Okay, and then we're going to work a double treble into the same hole. So a double treble, wrap twice, go in, pull this back through. Not sure why I'm struggling so much with this first hole. Doesn't seem to want to come back through. There we go. So I've got my 4 loops, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2. We're going to do another double treble into the next stitch. So it's wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2. Then we're going to work 2 trebles into the same stitch. So that's just 1 wrap there. So I've got 3 loops, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, and another one into the same hole. It's very important that you work that into the same hole. Then a half treble, which is you wrap and start in just the same way, but this time you wrap and go through all 3 stitches, so it makes a shorter stitch. We then need to work double crochet into the next 13 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and that takes us to the beginning of this centerpiece here. We're then going to work a half treble and then 2 trebles into seem to have snagged. So 2 trebles into the same hole, a double treble, and then we're now going to work a double treble around the front post. So wrap twice in round the turquoisey one, pull it through, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, wrap and through 2, 1 chain, and then another front post double treble. There we go. Okay, so we're now going to work down the other side, and you need to make sure you're working a double treble right into that very first stitch there. Okay, if you don't, you'll run out of stitches before the end. So we've got a double treble, 2 trebles into the same hole, and then a half treble. Then we have another 13 stitches across. That's 3. So these are all double crochets. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, then 1 final half treble, 2 trebles into the same stitch, then a double treble into that stitch, and then 2 double trebles into the final. Oops, it didn't feel right. I'm just going to work that final one again. So wrap twice in round and through 2, round and through 2, round and through 2, and that gives us this shape. You will block these later, so don't worry if they look slightly out of shape at the moment. Okay. Okay, so we're now on to row 10, which is the final section for this one. We're using the mustard yarn, and starting in the very, very first chain 4, which was at the beginning there, we're going to join the yarn and then do chain 3. Again, I like to use the 1 from the tail plus another 2, and we're then going to work a treble into the same base. We're now going to work trebles all the way along this top row, and that should be 23 stitches in total, and you'd still need to be quite accurate if you can on the top, on the final line, because then it will affect, if you're wrong, how the borders join together. So you really do want to end up with your 23 stitches in the middle. And it's quite a simple row, obviously, as this one. It's a nice one to do. And eventually we'll reach the middle of the row. So when you've got right to the middle, centre bit there, you work in a treble, one chain and another treble into the centre, and then we're going to work all the way down with another 23 trebles to take you to the end of the row. Okay, so we have reached the very first stitch, and you now work 2 trebles into the same hole, and you end up, so you've got 2 there, single trebles, individual trebles I should say, all the way along, treble, chain and a treble, 23 trebles down to here, and then another 2 in your final one, and that then makes up your full triangle for that one. So you need to do 2 in this colour, 3 in this colourway, and then another 3 in the other colourway, and then they'll all be used in the centre part of the blanket. Okay.